What's up, guys? I'm starting to disassemble the throttle body stuff and take off my stock manifold. I'm gonna be putting on the RBC manifold. Just wanted to show you what I've done so far. Alright guys, so I've disconnected the negative battery terminal. Always do that when you're working electrical, just in case you short something. Disconnected the plugs for the map and the other sensors here on the throttle body. Took off the rest of my air intake, took out the throttle cables off the little brackets, and disconnected the bracket that was here holding that on and right here. I'll go ahead and take this bolt out to release this harness. Next, I'm going to tackle the fuel rail. Go ahead and unplug each one of these sensors. Get them out of the way. Next, I'm going to disconnect the fuel line. Fuel is going to come out of it, so expect that. I'm going to get a couple rags and loosen these bolts right here. Basically, the whole thing should pop out after that. Next, I'm probably going to tackle some of these hoses, coolant hoses, vacuum hoses, start pulling some of them off. Ready to take the throttle body out. Alright guys, so I took a break a little while ago. Wife and I went to Walmart and got some groceries and stuff, but I'm back now. I took the throttle body off now, disconnected the throttle cables, unplugged the idle air control valve sensor. Pull these coolant loop hoses off. I suggest you plug it somehow. Maybe I took a bolt and put a little plug on it. That seems to be working pretty well. And then this hose right here will pretty much constantly drain out until the coolant gets below the neck. So I would plug that with something also. As you can see, the throttle body's off. Still have this hose on here. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with that because I heard that you have to either loop it or extend it. I gotta get all this gasket material off of here. It's pretty much stuck. Next will be removing the actual manifold. Everything else is disconnected. Remove the nuts and the studs. I've heard that removing the studs is helpful in getting the RBC on, so we'll see how that goes. I'm under the car now. I am directly below the manifold, and if you can see, where is it? Right there, so that bracket goes all the way from this bolt all the way up to the manifold, and there's actually another bolt right there in the bottom of the manifold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this bolt down here. Once I get the bolts off the head, I'll just lift that whole bracket up. Besides the bracket underneath that you can get to, there's another one right here, right about where the throttle body inlet is, and you can see my wrench on it. It's a 10mm bolt. I'm assuming that's what's holding the rest of this on because everything else is loose, and it seems like it won't come off on this side, so let me tackle that. Alright, so I was wrong. This bracket right here was only being held in by that bolt. Now there's another one right straight up. I guess I'm trying to figure out how to get that one out. Alright guys, so I got the bolt off that bracket that I was talking about, right down there. The underside of it, I had to go underneath the car, put two 12-inch extensions together along with the socket to get it. So it was a 12mm actually. Now I'm working on the studs of the manifold. I already backed this one out right here. I gotta work on this one, but it's giving me a hard time. I can't get the two bolts tight enough to loosen the stud. Alright, I backed both the studs up. The one that's right here and the one right there. Took the manifold off. There's some oil and not too bad, but the left stud definitely gave me a very hard time. He tried to strip the threads out of it. Not out of the block, but out of the base where it screws on. Alright, so that's it for getting everything out of here. So I was doing a little bit of fitment. I read on the car steps that you're going to have to move your AC line out of the way. You're also going to have to take your hood prop latch off. So I already did that. I'm probably going to buy the struts for that eventually. Once I do that, I won't need the hood latch anymore. Until then, I'll probably just keep it. As far as the AC goes, I flipped the bracket around like it showed in the picture. Kind of bent it a little bit. And I'm going to push it over here and then reattach it to the bolt hole so it moves it about a couple inches towards the right. See how that works. So I got the manifold in place now. Looks like it's got enough clearance with the AC line. I got the Corseps adapter on. I got it sitting with 2 bolts in it real quick just to see where it was sitting. I'm gonna go ahead and attach everything on and go from there. Alright, so I got the manifold bolted down, placed the studs with actual bolts. If I ever have to take it off again, it'll be a lot easier. I ran the fuel injector harness up through the middle here. I'm probably gonna have to extend the first one more than likely. I might rewrap them anyway because they kind of look like crap anyways. They're starting to fall apart, and maybe clean it up a little bit. I also relocated the brake booster vacuum line, capped this one right here, and I threaded a 1/8 NPT to 3/8 barb on the bottom side underneath the manifold. Here's going to be the new vacuum line right here. That'll go back, connect right there. We're going to figure out how to run that after I get the throttle body put back on. So I was working on plugging in the sensors back up and realized that the idle air control valve sensor didn't reach back to the plug. I actually had to splice the wire out a little bit and pull it back to give it some more room to reach. Otherwise I would have never been able to plug it back in. Alright, so I just finished making new coolant lines to run to the throttle body. I know a lot of people say you can just loop it from here to there. It does get below freezing here sometimes. I live in Virginia. We do get snow occasionally, so made new lines. I'll go ahead and finish doing the brake booster line right here. I gotta cut that to size. I got all the plugs hooked back up, the map sensor back in. Gotta hook the throttle cables back up. Alright, so I ran the brake booster line up from underneath. Just went straight across into that. I'll probably end up buying a new hose eventually and tucking it down and around and hooking it up back there. Also ran the throttle cables back. Got the bracket back on. Throttle cables are hooked up. All the sensors are hooked up. Next, I went ahead and hooked the fuel rail back up. If you notice on the RBC manifold though, these are threaded holes, not studs like the old one we had. So I just used 2 extra screws that fit the right thread size from the bracket that was down below the original manifold holding it up. And they fit perfectly. Reuse the spacer that's underneath of it, plug it back up to the fuel line, make sure the plug clicks in. Started putting my air intake back on. That fitment actually looks really good. I just need to, here's the elbow. I'll put the filter back on after this. So right now I'm in the process of shortening these fuel injector wires because I'm doing a center run. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it'll do for now. I might end up getting a wire tuck harness eventually. Alright guys, so I finished the wires for the fuel injectors. Doesn't look too bad. Other than that, we are done. I might have missed a couple things here and there. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Have a good one.